Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I got a video for you about the variation mode on the Boss Katana MKII. So this was something that came up on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. Someone asked about the variation mode and what did it actually do. And it's impossible to know without a graphic EQ. And I have here a fat filter on my Logic project. And what I do is going through each of the channels, and you'll see here on the EQ how different the frequencies are whenever I enable the variation mode. So we get sort of not just here the differences, but a visual feedback of what's actually going on. So I'm using this Telecaster, probably use it on neck pickup. As you guys can see already, there's the graphic on the left, the Fab Filter Pro Kit 3. Pretty much rolled out here up to 90 Hertz. Okay, let me just recall Tone Studio. And if you check out my EQ, I only have this plus 10 because USB signal is kind of weak. When it's a clean channel, it says engage, and everything else is kind of at noon. Contour is also disengaged, so basically I'm using this chain. But that doesn't matter really right now. We just want to look at, let me just take this out, at the EQ and see how it sounds. So the clean channel without the variation mode, you can see on the graph on the left. Okay. Via USB, you get more of a high cut on the high end, but it's probably normal. Now let's engage the variation mode. If you were to record this with a microphone, you would pick up much more than 5.2 kilohertz over there, because the amp goes a long way. So via USB, you can already see that the high end and the low end is really cut without the variation mode. Hope you guys grab a screenshot of this. Try not to, okay, without the variation mode. Seems to get a little bit of more low end. That's probably less mids. Let's check out again. Yeah, definitely you have more mids with the variation mode on and less bass. All right. So let's go for the next channel. Probably it's too high in volume. Probably not. And let's disengage the variation mode. You can see on the left that we have more rumble in the low end and more high end as well. 7.7 kilohertz, not very high in the spectrum, but more highs overall on the grunt channel without the variation mode engaged. Of course, the notes you play will also change, but with the chord is a very good representation of what the amp sounds like, with and without the variation mode. Now, on the grunt channel, let's engage the variation mode. Seems to happen like we have more high end, more mids again. Probably more low end, disengage it. Let's engage it again. The sound kind of gets a little bit more aggressive with more low end, more mids, and more high end. Overall, everything is more. Okay, let's disengage it and go for the lead channel. Bear in mind, I'm not using any EQ, I mean, no booster pedal, just a gain like this, so without the variation mode. Probably should take a screenshot of this, but we have 333, 2.7s, 5.2 and 10 kilohertz. And now let's check out with the variation mode on. Seems to me like less mid-range. We turn it off. I think I didn't even engage. Oh, it's engaged. Nice suppressor. Okay, let me turn it off and see what we have now. It's funny because via USB you don't have that much of a sense how different it is, but it is different. Yeah, definitely a little bit less mids, if not mistaken. More high end and more low end. So I think I'm seeing a trend here with more, with less mids, more bass, and more high whenever the variation mode is on. But check out the brown channel and see what it does. Okay, you can pause the video here and take a screenshot so you don't forget it. Now, variation mode on. Seems like the graphic doesn't necessarily present what we're hearing, but it always for me is all more top end, less mids, and more low end. And the distortion changes somehow. It's hard to explain, really. Now without the variation mode. Again, on the brown channel. We have those peaks around 600 and 800 here. .5 on 150, variation mode. Check out. Kind of hard to pinpoint this because sometimes it seems like mid-range also increases. What you see here is the kind of a noise floor of the USB, but this might be with the fact that I have a lot of lights here going on and stuff, so there's always a background noise. Check out maxed out to see if it makes any difference more here without it on the brown channel. believe that as you increase the gain, you increase the harmonic content. I think. Maxed out, now with the variation mode. It's kind of funny because they don't behave exactly the same way for every channel, but the sense that I have is that there's always a bump in everything. But kind of sounds less mid-rangey. Although the graphic does not show that, we have a peak here. But as soon as you turn it off, the sound becomes more muffled. And the mid-range is there as well, but the high end will certainly change. So I think we can agree that, let's go back to the clean channel, that changing the variation mode is just an EQ thing, it's not actually a different amp, okay? So back to the clean channel without the variation mode. Out of a fuller chord. Okay, let's go to the variation mode. Over our mouse, over the EQ. Definitely more high-end. Bridge pickup. Definitely less mids. Check out again. Maybe not. I'm getting a little bit confused because now without the variation mode, seems like he has less mids. Yeah, so one more time on the crunch channel, and I think I'm starting to understand this. This is without the variation mode. And every knob is at noon. Of course, everything will change if you add more treble and presence and so on. Basically, I think the variation mode is adding a little bit more of everything, although when you hear it by yourself, it seems like removes some mids, but on the graphic, it probably removes a little bit of mids, but in the end, as everything is kind of boosted up, like the top end, the low end, kind of affects also the mids. It's like probably the mid curve will be a little bit less pronounced, but the mids are still there. Only the curve, instead of being more flat, you get more of a smiley curve, you know, more top end, more low end, and then the rest comes along, of course. So a visual representation will not necessarily give you the best results because the mids are still there, but you can clearly listen from the speakers that somehow that flat curve, let's call it flat curve without the variation mode, becomes more of a smiley thing with the variation mode on. But if I go here, increase my treble and max it out, it's gonna be totally different. But the point is here to see how it sounds with all buttons, I mean knobs at noon. Now if you take, for example, this parametric EQ and put it like at 5, let's see if it affects. You still have some frequencies past 5.3. But without the variation mode, let's check it out. (4.2, 5.2). So it's really doing something, which is kind of cool because tube amps usually don't go much higher than that. And sometimes I like to put like this. I forgot one thing here, very important. I like to put it like this and then compensate with the rest of the EQ. Let me do this because this was probably doing something wrong. So, clean. Okay, more low end right now, variation mode. Okay, the low cut was just cutting a little bit of low end, but basically it's the same conclusion that I get is that once again, without the variation mode, you get more of a flat curve. Let's call it like that. And when you have the variation mode, it's just a different kind of EQ. So, for example, I could try to do like on the clean channel, like this, and now going into my EQ like this, and like this, probably too much, and then like this. I can compare it really fast, but I think this is very close to the variation mode when it's on. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this as fast as I can, though it's not easy. Okay, sort of in the ballpark. See, if you check out the tones, they were very similar. I mean, I just did this, increased treble, bass, and reduced the mids. So basically, the variation mode is an EQ thing and not necessarily a totally different kind of chain with a different amp. You're just adding a different EQ on top of the existing amps. Would be cool if the variation mode was kind of assumed as a new amp. So it's not 10 amps, it's 5 amps with added EQ. So I hope this video makes some sense. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so. It really helps a lot. And there is the answer to the variation mode, what it does in a graphic EQ. Stay tuned for the next one. Cheers!